Good morning, students. Up to last lecture, we have studied about centripetal force. Okay. Now we are start chapter number first, gravitation. In that, up to we are studying force due to the application of force what happen, and also we are start one new point, that is the centripetal force. Okay. That much point we have studied up to last lecture. Okay. In centripetal force is what? Simply, this is the force which is directed toward center and which is responsible for the circular motion of an object. Due to the presence of circular motion, object can set into a circular motion. Also, we have studied the formula of circular motion, that is the mv square by r. That much study we carried out up to last lecture. Now we have to study in this lecture, that is the Kepler's law. I already told you in first introductory lecture that gravitation is very important concept, because whatever the stability of this universe has, that is due to this gravitation. Gravitation plays important role to bind all the solar system together with each other. Okay. So, but this is not no people up to 1600 year. Okay. So at that time, people just observe the solar system, various planets, and according to that they propose their theories. Sir Johannes Kepler is also one scientist. He observed, he studied all that events happen in solar system, the route of planets, and after that he proposed his theory of a planetary motion. Okay. So in that theory, Johannes Kepler just explained how the solar system works, how the planets are revolve around the sun, and how their period of revolution is related to their motion. Okay. So that all study he carried out in his study, and he proposed three laws of motion of planets: Kepler's first law, Kepler's second law, and Kepler's third law. These three laws are always asking SSC final examination. This year also these three laws are asked for 3 marks. Okay. So this is the one important concept, and here we have to write only statement of these laws. Many students make mistake, they write derivation given below this statement. Okay. That is not necessary actually. They don't ask you to write any derivation. They ask you only write statement of these 3 laws. Okay. So this is the one important question for 3 marks that we have to study today now. Okay. So now first we have to see Kepler's first law. This law is also called as a law of orbit. Kepler's first law is also called as a law of orbit because it tells us the route of motion of an particular planet around the sun, about every planet. Okay. Same phenomenon happen about every planet. Their route is ellipse. That is states Kepler's first law. First of all, we have to see what is ellipse. Then later we will come towards Kepler's first, second, and third law. Okay. Now we have to see next topic is ellipse. So ellipse is what? Simply, if we cut a cone, this is a one cone. If we cut this cone by inclined plane, this is a one inclined plane, and if we cut this cone into inclined plane, and then we observe this cut side from front, then we will observe such a shape is present over here, and that shape is called as a ellipse. Okay. When we cut a cone in inclined plane by inclined plane, then this shape we will observe, and this shape is called as a ellipse. Okay. Now this is, suppose consider it is not exactly ellipse, but this is a one ellipse we have to consider over here. This is the one diagram of ellipse. Now this ellipse always has 2 focus points. Okay. This is focus point first, F1, and this is F2. Okay. These are the 2 focus point of this ellipse. Now another one interesting thing is, if we take any point on ellipse, okay, any point on ellipse, and if we measure distances from focus, okay, distances of that point from both the focus, that is always equal. Okay, look at that. We have considered 3 points A, B and C. Look at, this is first point, this is point A, this is focus F1 and this is focus F2. Now here, if we take a distance between F1A and F2A, F1A and F2A, okay, that always equal F2B and F1B. Okay, similar way, if we take third point C, at that time also F1C plus F2C will be equal to these two. Okay, so this means what? If you take any point on the ellipse, then distance of that point from both focus always same. Okay, this is about ellipse. Okay, so this is the ellipse and this is the distances of any point from two focus of ellipse is always constant. So if you consider any point, then such a phenomenon will be happen. Now we have to see Kepler's first, second and third law. So Kepler's first law tells us about the trajectory of motion of an object, of a particular planet, of every planet, not a particular but every planet, because these laws are applicable to every planet of the solar system. Now Kepler's first law tells us that, I am telling you statement is that Kepler's first law tells us that path of an planet around the sun is ellipse with sun at one of the foci. Okay, so first law statement is orbit of an planet is ellipse with sun is at one of the foci. That is the statement of Kepler's first law. What? Orbit of planet is ellipse with sun at one of the foci. Okay, then Kepler's second law tells us about area. So it is also called as a law of area. First law tells us about what? It tells us about the trajectory of motion, orbit of planet, and Kepler's second law tells us about that area. That is why it is called as a law of area. So Kepler's second law tells us that the line joining planet and sun, what? The line joining planet and sun sweeps out equal area in equal interval of time. Means what? If we draw a one line between sun and planet, then in one particular time, always that line sweep equal area. That is the also called as a law of area. That is the Kepler's second law. The line joining planet and sun sweeps out equal area in equal interval of time. And the Kepler third law, it tells us about the relation between period of revolution and distance of planet from the sun. Okay, so in the Kepler's third law tells us that the square of period of revolution of any planet, okay, square of period of revolution of any planet around the sun is directly proportional to cube of distance between planet and sun. Okay, what? The square of period of revolution. Period means what? Simply, period is a time to complete one revolution around the sun. If we have to take square of that much time, that is proportional to square cube of distance between planet and sun. Okay? Okay. So we are see the statement of Kepler's three laws. Now we have to see Kepler three laws by diagrammatically. Okay, the statement of Kepler first law is orbit of any planet is an ellipse with sun at one of the foci. Look at here. This is the one diagram of ellipse. Okay, we know ellipse has two focus, but we have to represent only one here. Now here consider this is sun. We are consider here this is sun, and this is the trajectory of planet. So Kepler's first law tells us that orbit of an planet is an ellipse. Okay, orbit of an planet is this ellipse with sun is at one of the focus. Okay, this is the statement of Kepler's first law. Now we have to see Kepler's second law. Okay, this Kepler's second law is also called as a law of area, and I already told you here what happened. I already told you statement. The statement tells us the line joining planet and sun sweeps out equal area in equal interval of time. Look at, consider this is the one line, okay, that join the sun and planet. Okay, now we have to consider any time interval. Okay, now what happened in that time interval? Suppose this planet is move around the sun in this way. Okay, from in time interval this planet start from here and after time it come here. Okay, means in one time interval that planet cover this much distance AB. Okay, AB distance is covered. Now again this planet is continuously moving around the sun, and this planet is came here on point C. Again in time t it cover this much distance DC. Okay, and again it come here at point E and goes up to point F. So in time t it will cover distance EF. Okay, look at that. Time interval is same. In same time interval, first of all it cover distance AB, then in that same time interval it cover distance DC, and in same time interval it cover distance EF. Okay, now here what happened? Time is same but distances are different. Okay, so why these differences are came in distance? Because the distance of planet from the sun goes on increasing. Here what happened? Planet and sun are much closer to each other. That is why this planet move fast as compared to this position. That is why this distance is much higher as compared to this distance. Okay, so what is the statement of second law now? The second law statement tells us that the line joining planet and sun sweeps equal area in equal interval of time. Now in one time interval this line cover this much distance, so we have to calculate this area. Okay, this area, suppose this sun is S. Now in after up to one time interval this planet cover that much distance, so we have to calculate this much area, and again in third example it cover this much distance. Now we have to calculate this much area. Okay, so if we calculate these three areas, then we will be find that area of ASB will be equal to area of CSD will be equal to area ESF. Okay, so what happened in equal interval of time? Okay, first of all in time, suppose one we have to consider one interval of time, one means fixed time. Okay, in one fixed time that cover that much distance. Here distance r goes on increasing from the sun, that is why it cover less distance, and here distance is much far away from the sun, That is why it covers less distance. Okay, so that is why it is this small distance we are see here. Okay, but now what happen, if you measure area of that trajectory, that will be equals. So that is why Kepler's second law is also called as a law of area, that tells us the line joining planet and sun sweeps out equal area in equal interval of time. That is the statement of Kepler's second law. Okay, now we have to see the Kepler's third law. Okay, the statement of Kepler's third law is the square of period of revolution of any planet around the sun is directly proportional to cube of a distance of a planet and sun. Okay, now suppose T is period of revolution. T is what? Period of revolution. Period means what? Period means what? It is time taken by any planet to complete one revolution around the sun. Suppose this planet just start from here. Okay, now it continuously moving around the sun, and again when it come in its original position here. Now whatever the time taken by this planet to complete one revolution around the sun, that time is called as a one period of that particular planet. Now Earth also has its period. What is the period of Earth? Are you know? Yes, the 365 days. In 365 days, Earth complete one revolution around the sun, and that is called as a 1 year. Okay, so that's called as a time period, means time taken by any object to complete one revolution. Now Kepler's third law tells us that this square of time of revolution, square means what? T is what? Period. Look at that. Square of period of revolution is proportional to what? Is proportional to distance between planet and sun. Cube of distance between planet and sun. Suppose R is the distance between planet and sun. Then Kepler's third law tells us that this square of period of revolution of any planet is directly proportional to cube of mean distance between sun and planet. Okay, remember what? T is what? Period of revolution, and R is what? Distance between sun and planet. So Kepler's third law tells us that square of period of revolution around the sun of any planet is directly proportional to mean distance between sun and planet. Okay, so we can say that this T square by R cube, if you put it in left side, so it will be equal to, so we have to remove that proportionality constant, so we will get T square by R cube is equal to constant. Okay, and this law is applicable or obey for any planet of the solar system. Okay, so look at that. These three laws statement are very important. We have to remember only statement, and that always ask in examination for 3 marks. I see in board papers lot of mistakes students do, because this one statement, one line for 1 mark. Okay, so you have to be very careful about it. You have to write as it is. Don't make any changes in that. So otherwise it will be reduce your 1 mark. Okay, so as you have to write statement as it is. First statement is that the orbit of planet is an ellipse with sun at one of the foci. Okay, Kepler's second law, the square of time period of revolution of any planet around the sun is, the line joining planet and sun sweeps out equal area in equal interval of time, that is the second law. And third law, the square of time period of revolution of any planet around the sun is directly proportional to cube of mean distance between planet and
square. Then G is
So next topic we have to see, that is Newton's universal law of gravitation. Okay, Kepler's proposed this theory. Newton actually studied Kepler's theory and then he think about that there should be a force present between any two massive bodies. Due to that, all the planets are bound around the sun. Okay, so here Newton proposed his theory. In that he said that if you consider any two massive bodies means what? Simply the bodies which having somewhat mass, that are called as a massive bodies. Okay, so Newton said that if we consider any massive bodies, then there is always force of attraction present between them. Okay, so you take any two massive bodies, suppose two persons, then also force of attraction is present between them, but it is very less, because if mass of body is higher, then that force is large. As compared to planets, sun, our mass is very small. That is why we are not recognized that force, or we are not identified that present force between us. But for object of a very large mass, as like a sun, planets, there we see this force is present. Okay, so in Newton's universal law of gravitation, in that he said that force of attraction is present in between any two massive bodies. Okay, now suppose consider two objects having mass m1 and m2. Okay, these are the two objects having their masses m1 and m2. D is distance of separation between two objects. Now Newton tell that the force of attraction between two massive bodies is directly proportional to product of their masses. Okay, m1 and m2 are the masses of two objects. Then this force of attraction between two objects is directly proportional to product of their, suppose these are the two objects. Okay, this one and this one. This is of mass m1, this is of mass m2, and this is d is the distance of separation between them. This is object of mass m1, this is object of mass m2, and d is distance of separation between them. Okay, so this attractive force between two objects is directly proportional to product of their masses and inversely proportional to square of distance between them. Here we consider d is the distance of two objects. Okay, d is what? Distance between two objects. So this force of attraction is directly proportional to product of masses and inversely proportional to square of distance between them. Okay, so here we can write it as F is equal to, F is proportional to, we combine right, m1 m2 by d square. Okay, so we have to remove this proportionality constant. So for remove that proportionality constant, we have to put one constant over here, and that constant is called as the universal gravitational constant, capital G. Okay, so that force will be equal to capital G m1 m2 by d square. So whatever the force of attraction present between in these two objects, that is how much? Capital G into m1 m2 divided by d square, where d is the distance of separation between two objects. Okay, so this statement you have to remember. Okay, this statement is important. This formulation is also important. What? Newton tells us in his universal gravitational law that the force of attraction between two massive bodies is directly proportional to product of their masses and inversely proportional to distance of separation between them. Okay, so it will be F is equal to G m1 m2 divided by d square, where this G is called as a universal gravitational constant, capital G. Now unit of this capital G is Newton meter square per kilogram square. That is also you have to well remember. This all things you have to use in 11th and 12th standard also. That is why well remember all that thing. Unit of G is Newton meter square per kilogram square, and also value of Z is 6.673 into 10 raised to minus 11 Newton meter square per kilogram square. This is the value of this capital G, universal gravitational constant. Okay, so today's lecture we have studied about important part, that is the Kepler laws. There are three Kepler law. Kepler law first is about the trajectory of planet, is also called as a law of orbit. That law tells us that the orbit of an planet is an ellipse, its sun at one of the foci. Then second law is tells us about the area. That is why it's called as a law of area. The line joining planet and sun sweeps equal area in equal interval of time. That is the Kepler's second law. And Kepler's third law is based upon the relation between period of revolution and distance of planet. In that he tells us that the square of period of revolution is directly proportional to cube of mean distance between planet and sun. Okay, these are the three statements I already told you. You have to remember very well that asking examination only statements, not a formulation. Okay, and the next topic we are studying, that is the universal law of gravitation. In that Newton tells us that whatever the force of attraction present between any two massive bodies is directly proportional to product of their masses and inversely proportional to square of distance between them. So the formula will become G m1 m2 divided by d square, where this capital G is universal gravitational constant. It has unit which is Newton meter square per kilogram square, and also its value is 6.673 into 10 raised to minus 11 Newton meter square per kilogram square. That value you have to well remember, because you have to use directly it in problem solving. Okay, so that much part we studied in today's lecture. Remaining part we will be see in tomorrow's lecture. Thank you.